With her husband Bill by her side, Gloria Gaither was the gospel music's emotional core. However, she is now bidding farewell with an emotionally raw and vulnerable voice. Perhaps even to the rest of us, not just the performers on stage. Why was this heartfelt goodbye necessary, and what transpired behind the scenes? And why are viewers anticipating the most tragic chapter to date? For a long time, Gloria Gaither's role in Bill Gaither's life extended beyond that of his wife. For many of the most influential Christian songs of all time, she has been the musical inspiration. She has moved people all over the globe with her profound faith and enduring lyrics, and she has co-written innumerable Gaither masterpieces. Gloria, who is now 82 years old, has sent a sincere message to her admirers that marks a turning point in her life story. Gloria thanked fans for their love, prayers, and unfaltering support throughout the years in a new video from the Gaither singing group. She looked quite moved. As she began, her voice quivering slightly, there is a moment when you sense a soft pull on your heart, as if God is beckoning you to a more peaceful period. Gloria hinted at a future away from big events and public appearances, though she never quite said retirement. She intends to prioritize spending time with her loved ones instead. After decades of touring, singing, and ministering, I am now concentrating on writing, contemplation, and quiet times. The world knew Gloria Gaither as a legendary lyricist and matriarch of Southern gospel, but she was actually born Gloria Sickle on March 4, 1942, in Michigan, into a family with strong moral principles and a Christian background. She grew up in a loving home that valued education, literature, and music. Gloria had a natural talent for words and emotion from a young age. The arts, poetry, and writing were her life's work, and she was an exceptionally gifted student. After finishing high school, Gloria went on to earn a degree in English from Anderson University, a tiny Christian college in Indiana. Both her mind and her soul were nurtured there, the latter would permeate all of her musical compositions in the future. Gloria met Bill Gaither, a young and enthusiastic music teacher, while she was a student at Anderson. They were merely co-workers first. Bill, together with his siblings, formed the Bill Gaither Trio and started experimenting in gospel music. Their faith and ingenuity brought them closer, albeit it didn't take long. In 1962, they tied the knot, and their marriage would alter the course of Christian music history. Bill first pursued music full-time, while Gloria kept teaching English at Alexandria High School. Her profound poetic understanding and talent for songwriting, however, started making an appearance in the trio's music. Billy wrote the music, and Gloria, who was born with a gift for language, brought it to life with lyrics that touched millions. Because He Lives, a hymn she wrote during a difficult period in her life, became her breakthrough hit. In the midst of a period of national turmoil, while expecting their third child, many would have deemed Gloria and Bill Gaither to be living the ideal Christian life by the late 1960s. They were a happy married couple, busy with the upbringing of a young family and the music ministry they were passionate about. On the inside, though, they were going through a really difficult period, both emotionally and spiritually. Everything was going up in smoke. The war in Vietnam was in full swing. America was trembling from the civil rights struggle. Protests were breaking out on college campuses, and conventional Christian beliefs were being publicly questioned. The Gaithers, meantime, were dealing with their own difficulties in life. Bill was struggling with fatigue brought on by the constant demands of touring in his ministry. While Gloria was expecting their third child, she was overcome with worry about the environment their child would grow up in. They relied on their religion during this emotional tempest, during which an extraordinary event transpired. A sense of calm and reassurance in God's promises washed over Gloria as she prayed and sought solace. In that serene, profoundly spiritual moment, the lyrics to Because He Lives started to take shape. Lyrically, it wasn't an easy ride. Their inception was spurred by anguish, terror, and an overwhelming desire for salvation. That is why millions of people could relate to them so strongly. A recording of the song was made in 1971. This became an international hymn for Christians going through tough times. It went beyond being a hymn. Despite how bleak things may seem right now, it was a public proclamation of faith in a God who controls the future. Since Because He Lives was so successful, the Gaithers and Gloria in particular have been able to expand their sphere of influence. Out of nowhere, she went from being a gospel singer's wife to a writer behind the scenes. A significant theological voice was beginning to emerge from her. Someone whose poetry had the power to stir the spirit. Stayed firmly planted on the ground, even as the limelight intensified. Not content to stop at music, she kept penning novels, devotionals, and personal essays that dealt with themes of faith, family, and purpose. She continued to collaborate with Bill on over 700 tunes, several of which became hymn standards in churches worldwide. Perhaps the most distinctive aspect of Gloria's work was the way she blended profound theology with honest human experience in her song lyrics. She was humble in her writing. From the trenches of parenthood and the ministry to loss and joy, she wrote from the heart of real life. Gloria maintained a consistent and important presence throughout the 1970s and 1980s, a time when the Gaither Vocal Ensemble was becoming prominent and the Homecoming video series was being developed. She may not have been the one holding the microphone very often, but her voice was ubiquitous. In every verse, in every prayer, in every instance that moved listeners. During this time, she also became a popular speaker at women's conferences and a guide for up-and-coming Christian artists. In a field where men predominate, her intellectual depth and serene, introspective approach stood out. Her talent extended beyond the written word. It manifested itself in her profound familiarity with the human condition, its trials and tribulations, and the unending promise of religion. Gloria was the unassuming rock that supported the Gaither vocal band as they grew into the Gaither Trio, and the Homecoming series became wildly popular. Her wisdom and grace shone through in her writing, speeches, and ministry. Now that she is stepping away from the limelight, her admirers can reflect on her remarkable rise from a teacher in a tiny town to a gospel music icon and the incredible path that brought her there. Gloria Gaither became more and more of a silent revolution in the gospel music industry throughout the 70s and 80s. Their spiritual and creative legacy was sustained by Gloria's voice, even though her husband Bill frequently took center stage. She had a subtle but significant impact. Christian families all throughout the world grew to rely on the Gaither vocal band and, later, the Gaither Homecoming series. They saw their music as a sort of ministry rather than a mere entertainment. And Gloria's lyrics were unlike anything else in the genre, adding depth and literary grace. The lyrics of Gloria were full of profound theological thought, beautiful imagery, and heartfelt reality, standing out in a genre where such things are commonplace. She possessed a unique talent for making the abstract concepts of religion relatable, transforming the great secrets of God into lyrics that common people going through life's ups and downs could sing. The narrative quality she imparted to gospel music was one of her greatest achievements. Gloria wrote more than just choruses. Whether the subject was the transformation from gloom to light, hope to despair, or death to resurrection, she was a master storyteller. The literary significance of her songs struck a chord. Both in the Bible and in human history, she saw the arc of redemption. With that insight, she penned songs whose melodies touch listeners even still. Gloria became more than just a musician, she also became an advocate for Christian women of all ages. She subtly broke barriers during a period when women were underrepresented in Christian music's major theological and creative positions. She wasn't limited to the part of a backup singer for a pastor's wife, nor was she a glamorous performer in high heels. In addition to being a mother and thinker, Gloria was also a spiritual guide and intellectual. A great number of her writings include reflective essays, spiritual diaries, and devotionals. Religious, cultural, personal, and familial spheres are frequently explored. For women bearing the silent loads of parenthood, ministry, and life, her writings were a source of strength and encouragement. Her problems were expressed honestly. She was honest about not knowing everything, yet she could direct folks to the right people when they needed help. She has left a substantial bequest to the next generation as well. Education and discipleship were key parts of Gloria's life. Jointly establishing the Gaither Homecoming Bible and the Gaither Family Resources Center. Younger gospel musicians, especially women, looked up to her as a role model and mentor because of the doors she provided for them via her platform and guidance. Gloria never wavered from her commitment to content, even as the world around her became more and more obsessed with fame and public perception. "Our goal was always to be faithful, not to be famous," she remarked. Everything has changed because of that dedication. A life well lived was the inspiration for every song Gloria Gaither ever composed. Never was she showy. Her desire for attention was uncommon. Her soul exuded an air of subtle gravity that could be felt by anyone lucky enough to spend even a moment with her. She wasn't acting out her religion. It was forged, honed, and perfected in the fires of actual experience. The most significant way Gloria ministered was through her presence in ordinary situations. She is a good listener, thoughtful, and perceptive, according to her friends. She refrained from making unnecessary noise. She made it serene. She was known for probing for more in-depth answers during discussions. She brought peace when chaos reigned. Her loyalty as a wife was unwavering. Throughout their 60 years of marriage, she and Bill were more than just musical collaborators, they were soulmates. They had to overcome several obstacles in their relationship. The demands of public expectation, a large ministry, and traveling with 3 children were too much to bear. Gloria, though, was a steadying influence throughout. She has a thoughtful and caring nature as a mother. Despite her hectic work, her children remember a mom who was never absent. Once the kids were asleep, she would write songs late into the night. She taught her children not only about Jesus but also about compassion, honesty, and responsibility through long chats and leisurely walks. Loyal and smart, she was an excellent friend. Many of the artists, writers, pastors, and philosophers she guided attribute her influence on their own conceptions of Christian calling. Her talent for seeing and lovingly praising the strengths in others was truly remarkable. Gloria Gaither, a devout woman, served as a link between the past and the future. The old hymns were sacred to her, yet she wasn't scared to raise challenging questions. Despite her steadfast commitment to biblical truth, she allowed room for nuance. She had confidence that could handle subtlety. There was enough depth to support it. What it means to live a good life, both publicly and personally, became a testament to her existence. Faithfulness, not fame, is the measure of success in service, as she demonstrated. That the power of a song is directly proportional to the quality of its inspiration. That being a servant is the pinnacle of glory. Gloria nevertheless leaves behind more than just a collection of well-loved hymns, even as she withdraws from the spotlight. A legacy of grace, knowledge, and perseverance is hers to leave behind. In funerals, churches, and lonely hospital rooms, her music will be heard forever. And happy reunions with loved ones for many years to come. Most significantly, though, she will leave a legacy that encourages people to be modest, faithful, and purposeful in their lives. Listening to her own songs while we say our goodbyes feels suitable given the words she provided us. They named him Jesus because God sent his Son. He came to bring love, healing, and forgiveness. His life was cut short. Those closest to Gloria Gaither know that her family has always been her first ministry, even if the world knows her for her spiritual depth and poetic songs. At the heart of every performance, composition, and literary work was a place called home. And there was music, faith, long conversations, and laughter in that home. Benjamin, Amy, and Suzanne Gaither were brought up by her and Bill Gaither. Their parents' ministry has had an impact on all of them, but Gloria's steadfast hand and caring heart have molded each of them uniquely. Since she was a young girl, the eldest, Suzanne Gaither Jennings, has been active in the family's ministry and company. On the side, Suzanne assisted her parents in managing the Gaither family's resources and penned songs with her mom, including some popular homecoming ballads. Suzanne has done more than simply work with the Gaither family. She has continued their mission into the next generation by fusing business savvy with a profound reverence for the spiritual and musical heritage of the Gaither family. The middle kid, Amy Gaither Hayes, followed her own artistic passions. Amy took after her mother in her passion for words and writing. She is now a teacher, actress, and poet. Her background was intellectually rich, and she has been candid in interviews about the theological, artistic, and inquisitive topics that often came up during dinner conversations. A co-founder of Liveborn Media and a prolific collaborator with his parents on homecoming projects, Ben is also a songwriter and producer, as she had previously stated. Though his style is more modern, the themes of truth, family, and faith remain constant. In addition to her roles as parents and role models, all 3 children hold their mother in the highest regard. Her late-night writing sessions after putting children to bed, her patience during the frantic years of traveling, and her knack of turning daily occurrences into spiritual lessons are all things that they remember. Despite their austerity, family holidays were priceless. Spending time together was safeguarded. Gloria never made her family feel like a second priority, even when the duties of ministry were overwhelming. The Gaither family has been responding to Gloria's recent wishes to slow down with a range of emotions, including thankfulness. Despite the constant upheaval of life on the road, she has always been recognized as a rock-solid presence. As she gracefully withdraws from the limelight, her offspring are gathering around her, respecting her desire for a more sedate holiday season. Their statements indicate that her impact will continue, although in a different form. The timeless wisdom of Gloria Gaither will find new audiences via her published works, reissued songs, and archival writings. Bill Gaither spoke about his wife's choice in a recent interview with a delicate blend of admiration and love. Gloria has been really generous. With her words, she has dedicated nearly 60 years of her life to the church, our family, and the world at large. It is my deepest belief that she deserves to finally relax, embrace her grandchildren, take leisurely strolls through the yard, and be quiet instead of constantly talking. She is deserving of that. Even their grandkids, who are now in their teens and early 20s, have said how much they enjoyed having her around. Several of them have mentioned Nana as their go-to storyteller on various social media platforms. The one whose heart was filled with a parable and whose journal was always resting on her lap. They say she has a lot of wisdom, is full of grace, and is interested. Fans all over the world have been deeply moved by Gloria's message of taking a step back, which she conveyed through a short video and some sincere words. Tributes were pouring in on social media. Her farewell video received hundreds of comments on YouTube, many of which were quite moving. As I battled cancer, her songs were my solace. Hearing Gloria's remarks on the Gaither homecoming cassettes brought me to tears, and I came to know Christ through them. Because he celebrates every birthday, my mom played. Her absence has not diminished the power of Gloria's words to draw her near. Special ceremonies have been organized by churches across the U.S. and internationally to celebrate her efforts. An hour-long homage was broadcasted by radio stations. Certain listeners went so far as to make compilation videos in which they recounted the ways in which her music had a profound impact on their lives. The feedback has been incredibly personal, which is striking. Although Gloria Gaither had no interest in being famous, her genuine personality created an impression on audiences. She was the one whose words mirrored your anguish, who reassured you that God was still in charge, and whose songs proved that genuine faith didn't require showy displays. Every day, her hymns are played in nursing homes. They reverberate during prison chapel services. Her cherished music and worn CDs continue to fill peaceful living rooms with her words. Fans are taking a deep breath of relief as they bid farewell to her public persona rather than her reality. She hasn't explicitly stated that this is the last chapter, but she has indicated that it's time to focus more on listening and less on striving. While doing so, she keeps setting a good example for others to follow. Even if she is no longer physically there on stage, her legacy will live on in the memories she left behind. The lyrics, not the lights, will carry this legacy on, and the souls, not the stones, will bear it.